McDavid is just the most. If I'm the best player on the planet, why do you look like such a whiny
This is LA Kings Fan Talk with your boys, Rodney, Rob, Darren, and Joe.
What is up, Kings fans? Welcome to another show. And welcome to April Anxiety Month as the Kings make their playoff push and try to hold off the Oilers and the Knights. The Kings are currently in second place in the Pacific. Rob, you think the Kings will finish the season in second place?
If I'm a betting man, which I am, I'm going to go ahead and put the odds at an exact coin flip. I think there is just as good a chance that they finish third as they do finishing second, and I do believe they do make the playoffs. I've always said this, and I love reading Twitter. I'm that guy. I read Twitter nonstop, and I see all the people. Nobody had the Kings making the. Go back, look at our podcast that we have. I am on record saying we will make the playoffs from day one. I am a believer.
Joe, what do you think?
I guess it's hard to say. I think they're going to fall at least to third, possibly even like the wild card, the lower wild card spot. But I don't know. I mean, like they've obviously, they keep trucking even though they're losing players and stuff. I just don't see how it's sustainable. Although I guess people would talk about the strength of their schedule. I don't look that far in advance. I just take it one game at a time. But I think we're for sure. I think it would be they would definitely going to be a playoff team. I could see them keep on doing what they're doing now. I could also see them stumbling a bit and then just kind of limping in. But I would say I would bet if I were a betting man, I would bet against second place. But I would bet that they'll make the playoffs.
Darren, what do you think?
Yeah, I think they'll finish, like Rob said, either second or third. I don't know if we'll drop out to the wild card per se, just because we have I think it's 2 games against the Ducks, game against Seattle, Chicago a couple times. Like those are winnable games that we should at least get points out of, if not 2. So,
you say not into the wild card. Well, I don't even think there's going to be a wild card from the Pacific. So
I looked at it. There's possibility. I mean,
there's possibility, sure, but
yeah.
I mean, if the Kings fall out, I think we're right next to Dallas, so I think we'll be right there. But
and the reason why I'm saying 50-50 about even finishing second, this is why Edmonton, they have their woes. They have their issues with defense, and they call it goaltending. I call it when your superstars care more about scoring than they do about defending. That's what happens, But we do have 2 games against Chicago, 2 games against Anaheim, a Kraken game, a Blue Jacket game. Vancouver's been playing well, So we have a lot of points there to be taken, and if we could scoop those up, we can stay ahead. We can fight it.
Yeah,
50-50.
I will say what I hope happens is that the Kings do finish second and mop the floor with Edmonton.
Yeah,
I would love to see that. I would love to see them knock Edmonton out in the first round.
It would be the funniest
thing.
I'm starting to wonder, do we play better on the road than we do at home? Do we want home? Do we care to finish second? Do we want to finish third instead so we're actually on the road?
Yeah, it's weird. We play not no mistake, but we play no event hockey. Like no one does anything until it's necessary on the road, and then at home we're everyone does everything. So I don't know.
Or do we have the guys sleep in hotel rooms together while they're at home, pretending that like they're on the road? I don't know what it is, but they do seem to play better on the road. I don't know why.
So that's why I honestly don't care about finishing second or third, but I care obviously about making the playoffs, and I think we have to finish second or third to make the playoffs, because I personally I don't think there's going to be a wild card spot for the Pacific.
Well, let's talk about the team that's right above us and the last game against the Flames. Rob, how do you think the kids held up against the Flames? Our injury depleted lineup. What do you think?
So I don't want to talk about too many things all at once. I think Calgary just wasn't ready. It's not that they overlooked us. They looked. I think it had a lot more to do with the way Calgary played rather than the way we played. And I don't mean that as a negative either. Because we played well enough, and I love using it as the excuse when we win, as opposed to when we lose, saying how many injuries we have. Look at the young kids doing their jobs. Look at all these guys that are stepping up and doing these things. I love mentioning that when we win, rather than saying, well, look at, we lost that game and we had these guys and that guy. I like saying it when we win. Calgary, I think, just didn't play their best. And when you don't play your best, even against a team that's missing 8 guys and fresh faces all over the place, we definitely played well enough to win. And Peterson actually played really, really well. Really, really well. So
He did. And after his last game, I was starting to think, do we need to draft another goalie to take Quick's place? I don't know.
it seems every other game it's like okay, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing with the goalies, I think.
100%.
Yep.
Yep. I think that Calgary game too. It's like I said, like we played a very good back to back. Like that's what you should do when you're on the second of a back to back. Like you don't let anything happen. Like the first period, like there was 14 shots total in the game. Like Kings are known for having, almost 40 shots a game or something stupid, and it's like nothing happened the whole first. If it wasn't for a bad call on that Jersey penalty, who knows, we might have even taken 2 full points out of that game. So
Yeah, I think Calgary definitely took over the second period. I mean, I was like just waiting for them to start dropping goal after goal, but we definitely weathered the storm there. But the first period I thought was great. Like I think it was the first 5 minutes. Camera pans over to Sutter, and just every second word that was coming out of his mouth was just an F-bomb.
yeah,
Classic Sutter. He's like that, making that scowl on his face, like F this, F that. Like, oh yeah, that's awesome. We're doing good right now.
We pretty much out-Suttered Sutter in that first period.
True. Yeah, true story.
Little aside here, things that I like calling Twitter out all the time. Remember back in the day, 2 months ago, fire McClellan. There's fire Blake, fire.
Coach of the year.
Now it's Blake. Blake is God, and McClellan is the Jack Adams Award winner. And I said on record, it is not a McClellan issue. It is a player. When we were going through our bumps, it is not a coaching issue.
I remember that.
Yeah.
All right. So the coach deserves credit for the team being where they are. I still take issue though with like this usage of players. Really. And yeah, it's fine we're winning games, but you're winning games too, like by running Kopitar into the ground at 25 plus minutes a night. And you know what? He'll probably say, well, he can handle that. And I guess maybe he can, but he can until he can't. We've seen times where, he's gotten like tired. I don't know. I don't know that you need to protect Kopitar, but I would like to see like a lot of these. Why is like, Grunstrom or like not just him, like who's the other guy? Like even Kaliev, like why do they have these guys playing less than 10 minutes a night? It's like foolish. Like they've already shown that they can play, and like the reason I really like stick up for like Grunstrom is one, he's produced in what limited ice time he's had, goals, scores, and then he like is out there like being physical. Like there's one of the few guys that's out there that it can play a man's game. playing the corners, and it's totally not what I expected because I'll go ahead and be Don Cherry. Barry's is going to be a soft Euro player, and like he's not busting heads, but the dude like gets his hands dirty every freaking game, and that that along with the scoring would reduce more ice time. But Kaliev too. I mean, like Kaliev, and then trying to think who else I'm missing here. But those like bottom, it's like 3 or 4 forwards.
Well, Lazat
I think
is
it
the
hurt,
one that
yeah,
normally centers them, and he's getting 11 and a half minutes a game as well.
But that's 11 and a half compared to like I think Grunstrom got like 7 minutes the other night.
I think the difference there is the penalty kill.
Probably,
Lazat is our number 2.
Oh, Kupari is the other one I'm thinking of, and Kupari's had probably his best 2 games the last 2 games.
Yeah.
Like he's just been completely noticeable, and that like makes my heart warm. I think that guy looks like
he looks so much different from the beginning of the season right now. Like
well,
the beginning of the season, he was going left and right.
The reason why you're noticing him is because of exactly what you're saying, Joe. These guys, Grunstrom has made it an issue of I'm going to go out there and I'm going to hit. And Kupari, now that he goes, hey, look, I'm as fast as anybody. What happens if I start slamming into people too? That's the best way to win a fan over is to go out there and just bust your ass and slam into people. So they definitely deserve kudos for the way they've played.
The only complaint I have
They're more
Kupari is that one he had like a 2-on-0 or 2-on-1 and he tried to pass the puck when he was like 6 feet from the goalie. And he was like, what are you doing? And shoot the puck.
While we're still talking about the Calgary game, too, I was waiting for King's Twitter just to explode when Mata threw that puck to the middle of the ice in the offensive zone and they almost scored off it. That one turn, he's a pile of shit, isn't he?
He had a few mistakes in that game. But look at his plus minus.
Yep.
So.
He's definitely earning his keep. I mean, I know I crapped on him earlier in the season, but with all the injuries and stuff, man, he's all of them. I was going to say too. One thing that's definitely been exposed in the last few games is some of the younger defensemen. Well, they're all young, I guess, but just the trouble they're having moving the puck up the ice. I mean, they're recovering pucks and stuff, and it's just like Jersey's made some real bad plays, like particularly last night, unforced too. Like,
don't be talking about Jersey. There's so many Jersey lovers out there.
Dude, he's playing big minutes, so you're going to make mistakes, but some of them are just like, it just don't look like how he's played like the rest of the season. I'm not crapping on him by any means, but
I'm going to crap on him. I'm going to say right now, I don't like him fighting. I don't want him to fight. I just don't want it to happen.
We only have so many skilled defensemen. He can't be out there.
Here's why I don't want him to fight. This is why I don't want him to fight. Because he's not someone that's going to win a lot of fights with his size. Now, if he was a Lucic, if he was a big guy that can play as well as he can and fight, great, fine. But it's not him. You could be tough in other ways, but don't break your hand. Don't sit there. We need you eating minutes, not in the penalty box. That's all.
That, and I think you're going to start attracting what limited amount of goons that are still out there. You're going to start attracting that attention, which there's no benefit to that. Mixing it up with that. But I mean, I agree with what you're saying, Rob. But I do think it's good that there's at least somebody on the team that's willing to stand up. He probably pick your spots better. Don't go fighting a guy who's way bigger than you.
So, Rob, that's why you're saying you're fine with like Joe fighting in your beer league team, but not Darren. Is that what you're saying?
No. You want me to fight because Joe actually puts the puck in the net. So.
I don't want Joe in the penalty box.
Yeah, I haven't seen him play in a while, so things have changed. In fact, I hurt myself a week and a half ago. I hurt myself sitting on the bench. I don't know how I messed up my rib. That's how you know you're getting really old.
All right. Anything else on the Flames game before we move on?
Might as well. We got to mention it because there's going to be people out there saying, "How can you not talk about Elias Anderson scoring the only?" The past couple shootouts. People are once again questioning why didn't we do this or why didn't we do that?
Yeah. Well, why is Kopitar out there?
And I'll guarantee you this: when Elias Anderson went out there, I guarantee you more than half of the fans out there going, why is he out there?
And as soon as he scores, they're like, yeah, that's what I'm talking
Yes,
about.
I told you we should start using other people.
Swedes only.
It's
Only
like,
the
Jesus
Swedes.
Christ.
Yeah.
His goal was, I mean, that was pretty sick shot tweeners by him for sure.
Hey, he shot it at his foot. Is where it's right at your skate. It's like the last part of the pad to go down. It was a sealed shot.
For sure, you could tell he was trying to do that. It's just so slick. Like, I've never really seen. I've seen people shoot tweeners, and yeah, probably they're shooting it for like a gap under the stick for next to the pad sort of thing. But yeah, to score it like that, like it was clear. Like when he saw he saw the goalie's leg move a certain way. He's like, oh yeah,
it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, agreed for sure.
We also have
that's
to.
That's about all I noticed about the
We also have to talk about Rob's favorite player finally scoring. Hey. Alex, I follow Rob. What do you think?
Well, yeah, let's talk about it because it got so bad with all the hate. I think I'm just a hater of hate.
So once everybody started hating on him,
I take that back. I'm a hater of love too, because when someone gets too high or someone gets too low, I hate all the haters and the lovers, and it was getting bad for him. I was truly feeling sorry for him. I liked it when I was the only critic of him, and he was scoring all the time, and I looked stupid for saying, hey, I don't like that we're paying him $4 million when he's just a third line kind of guy.
Right.
But then he was scoring, and so everyone was all like, oh, hey, how stupid do you feel? I'm all, okay, I feel pretty stupid. Well, everyone's still screaming he needs to be play fourth line, third line stuff, and I'm still going, well, we're paying him $4 million. I don't want him on the fucking fourth line. I want him to score like a top six guy. So hopefully this gets him going a little bit. It was a good move. It was a good reception of the pass and quick with the hands and got it in. So I was happy for him.
And also his sister is still part of the Kings organization, much like
that's Lemieux. That's Lemieux.
Oh, I thought it was both. I don't know. So how impressive is it that the Kings are still in playoff talk with all these injuries they have? I think if you include Walker, we're talking 10 players off the roster right now. What do you think, Joe?
Well, yeah, it's absolutely impressive. It's crazy as you think about, back in 2003 through 2005, 6, whatever, when they broke all those man games, lost to injury and stuff. You would think that this team.
Side note: that's a record that's going to be broken by Montreal this year.
Okay, fair enough. But you think that the Kings team would be in a similar situation.
We're talking about American records, not Canadian records. Come on.
It's NHL.
But yeah, no, it's I think everybody's impressed with the way they've rebounded with losing, particularly lose like Doughty or the guys that are playing top top.
Yeah, we lost our top pair defense.
Yeah. Or you lose your best forward, Dustin Brown.
Right. It's a wonder we haven't scored any goals once Dustin Brown went out, right?
Yeah, obviously.
Fuck you guys.
I mean, it was really interesting is how much depth they have with these younger players, and gosh, there's going to be some serious decisions to be made over the next year, this summer and then leading into the next year or two. But it's good problem to have.
I mean, this summer we could even be talking about prior to playoffs, who you sending down of our defensemen. If everyone's healthy, who are we sending down?
I'll go on record and say you send Spence down. Love the kid. He's been.
See, my question is not the right side; it's the left side.
Oh,
it's the left side.
When
you got Mata, Edler, Bjornfoot, Moverari, and Anderson.
Well, I thought you were talking about when Doughty and Roy come back.
I'm talking about Anderson especially.
Okay.
I mean, what do you do with the Moverari is going down, but the others 4, Who's sitting in the playoffs if we have?
Well, one of those guys, one of those between Bjornfoot, Mata, and Anderson.
Edler.
I believe one of them played their offside. I almost want to say.
Bjornfoot, I think.
I almost want to say it was Bjornfoot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you know? Does he move over to the other side and still send another
Svensson.
righty down? You know.
Maybe, but then what happens when Doughty comes back, and then you got Doughty, Dursey, potentially Roy.
Do you guys keep Edler and Stetcher together just because they've have that history of playing well together? Because that could be our solid, our third D pairing going into the playoffs.
Well, we'll. If you're asking me right now today, I say no until I see Stetcher play a little more
Right.
and he can. Doughty and Roy are going to be our top right defense minute eaters in
Right.
the playoffs.
Right.
You know, and that.
So would you
We're not
rather
gonna keep-
would you rather have Mata or Stetcher as our seventh defenseman?
It doesn't matter to me. That's what I'm saying. Because if we're going on the right side, and as far as I'm concerned, it's Doughty, Roy, and Dursey. Those are the three we're going to keep for the right side. You know, now we're talking left side.
Anderson, Bjornfoot, and Edler, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So
You know, so it really doesn't matter. To me, the seventh, it's not going to matter. You can keep whoever you want to keep. And I'd rather just not talk about it until you have to, until one of those six.
let's get guys healthy first.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I think the other thing too with the Kings injuries is just crazy how condensed like they were. It was it 6 games or something like that. We had all those injuries, whereas like most teams when they lose man games, it's game 1 we had an injury, game 12 we had an injury. Guy comes back and so on and so forth. Whereas like it was everybody in a short window got hurt. I think that's the other thing that's impressive is the total depth we had to show, not just like piecemeal kind of thing. So.
All right, so let's talk about the playoffs, right? So you guys know that the coach is not going to break up the first line, not going to break up the second line. Do we keep that kid line, that champagne line together because they're starting to play well together? Do we keep Byfield, Velarde, and Kapari together at all costs? Because if we do, once Lizotte and Lemieux come back, and Kaliev, does that mean everybody else that's been playing decent is just going to be on the bench now? Grunstrom's off now. Like, what do you guys think?
I think you could do some kind of Grunstrom, Velarde, Kupari, who has the worst game, you sit if you have a bad game kind of thing. But
I think that's more than likely that's going to happen. I mean,
yeah,
kind of
I mean, and this is all assuming that Brown isn't back either. Once Brown's
Right,
back,
Brown
then
too.
well, from what Jim Fox said yesterday, the day before, I know his injury. He got hit in the hand, but
Yeah, that was bad.
He made a comment about how serious it was. So I think he probably broke a bone that's
Got
not.
some bone breakage, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, it's one of those things where I think somebody said it was like could be, 6 weeks from the injury, or it could be 6 months. Like I don't even know.
Yeah.
Like,
But I mean,
hyperbolic, but
if you just look what's been going on the last 2 years with COVID and everything like that, and then this year with COVID and the injuries stuff, they've been comfortable platooning people. So I would expect to see that. You're going to have guys kind of coming in and coming out of the lineup, particularly those bottom 3 lines, and particularly the younger players, because they're going to. Well, we hope they don't struggle with their, players going to have bad games and whatnot, or a coach is going to see something that the rest of us don't, make some dumb decision, but that's why he gets paid the big bucks. But no, yeah, I think I wouldn't expect that line to stay together forever. That's for sure.
Are you guys liking what you see with that third line? Do we want to keep, if it's up to us, do you want to keep Byfield, Velarde, and Kapari together? Darren?
yeah, definitely. I think they've been good together. I think Kupari's shown what we thought he was going to be, like fast. He's not big, but he's bigger. He's able to play physically, and Velarde and Byfield showing the skill, especially with their size. So I think the one thing you wish they could do is, get the puck to the net. They like to play on the boards, and they can't get it to the middle, but, that's Kings hockey. So
What do you think, Rob?
I'm sitting here trying to think of it from a different angle as far as keeping them together and how much they're going to play in the playoffs and everything. Yes, keep them together, but and as far as the other guys that we're going to rotate in or anything like that, I'm happy with the experience. We've talked about this before. I'm glad we didn't do anything at the trade deadline. I want all these guys to get as much experience as they can, and if we're able to get 3 guys experience by rolling them all out on the same line, it's invaluable down, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, when these guys have all been able to play a whole playoff series. If we could sneak and win a playoff series and get more experience under our belt, it's going to be awesome. So by putting them all on one line, giving them third line minutes, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm happy with all of that stuff. And if they could actually grow some more and produce some more, it'd be even better. Velarde, I want a quick comment about him. Just, he's always been a step slow with it. Things are starting to speed up for him a little bit. I'm liking his progression a little bit.
He's been on the wing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that helps because I noticed last night he made a really good play, like where, he was kind of behind the play a bit or whatever, and he didn't need to be in front, up there kind of pushing the pace. I forgot exactly what happened, but yeah, he made a good play and just had that thought where I'm like, all right, this probably, and not only that, like just like watching him like around the net, where you don't have to that defensive responsibility to make sure that you're going to get back 200 feet, or he's down there, using his size and all that stuff. So I don't know, like I really hope he works out long term, because his hands are, I don't know, I want to say second to none on the team, but they're definitely up there as the top. His vision and his hands.
Cumulatively, they're our biggest line too. On top of that, not only are they our youngest,
yeah.
they are our biggest. Because Velarde and Kapar are both 6'2", almost 190 or so.
I think Velarde's 6'3", and what's Byfield like 6'4", 6'5"?
6'4", yeah. So it's 6'5", depending on who you talk to.
Right.
So they're young, they're big, with Kapari speed. Byfield is sneaky fast. There's some elements out there that, like I said, they just need experience. So yeah, keep them together, so we could get multiple guys out there with more experience, and then, on that bottom line, Kaliev still getting what he needs to do. His maturity level is just through the roof this year. It's going to be fun, guys.
Would you, Rob, rather have Kupari or Kaliev on that third line?
Kupari for now. That's fine with me.
You wouldn't want to put Kaliev up there?
I have grown to. I like Kaliev with Lizotte. I really do.
Yeah. I was gonna say the other day when Lizotte got hurt and then we lost like 6-1. It was like, oh, is that the straw that broke the camel's back? All these injuries, and the injury to Lizotte is the one that.
Well, I'll tell you what. When we dressed 11 forwards and they were rotating a center between Grundstrom and Kaliev, it was not by accident that they scored a goal. It just proves those two guys are good. Mm-hmm. And if you put a center and give them chances, they're going to get their chance. They're going to score. So I'm okay with Kaliev. Just, it's all about minutes. And it's like what Joe's saying. You got Grundstrom and Kaliev, who are very capable guys. And when you're only giving them 10 minutes a game, I mean, those are your choices. Putting them out there for 12, 13 minutes a game isn't going to kill you. It might even help you because they're pretty good players.
All right, going back to that Flames game, I know we talked about it already, but how much more intense would that game have been if Doughty and Lemieux were in the lineup?
I thought about that too, yeah.
With the Kachuk history going on. And that's going to happen. That's going to happen.
Surprised Jersey didn't start shit with Kachuk.
Yeah,
he's trying to be our enforcer, you know.
But really, he wasn't. He was just trying to clear the crease and get him away from
I thought being mini Doughty, he was going to try.
He was trying to do like Doughty 2.0, but yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about Edmonton game instead? And
let's go back. Let's go back to Edmonton.
How much I cannot stand those freaking
the shootout. Should we just go overtime?
Puljujarvi's face needs to be punched. McDavid is just the most. If I'm the best player on the planet, why do you look like such a whiny bitch?
Yeah.
I don't get it. Why aren't you happy?
But you got to headlock people in the last minute.
Draisaitl looks like if he's a stockbroker and he's just under all this pressure. And
Damn stockbrokers.
And their fan base is the worst. They are the whiniest pussies about the ref.
Worse than that.
Oh my God,
more so than a
ref-
stockbroker. He almost looks like an underwriter. Right, Joe?
Oh. Their fan base is the worst.
Yeah.
I'm proud of Kings fans because I know that's all that listens. Kinda. I'm proud of you guys. I'm proud to call ourselves Kings fans because if you could guys don't look at other people's Twitters, other fan bases Twitters. It's the
don't look at
it's a
the
different
Maple
world,
Leafs
man.
fan base. Don't look at the Canucks fan base. Don't look at most fan bases. Oh my. It's just it's tough to watch. It's tough to watch.
Yeah, but the other night, the Oilers thing, like, McDavid, obviously, like, he's world-class talent, like, he's got, but yeah, there was that point where he was like, did he have Kopitar in a headlock? Or he had somebody in a headlock.
I think it was Iafallo.
Okay, yeah, I'm like, what? And like, the ref's not. I mean, look, I'm not a blame the refs kind of guy. But I do think, like, I feel like there was a couple of times where there's like blatant things that happen that like, but whatever.
You get a guy in a headlock. It's a little different than you slash someone. Like
it's kind of hard to ignore that, like visually, like is it like a referee? Like if I could see that from the TV, like that's not a normal hockey position, like to have somebody in, and it's not like it was anything like violent or malicious, but you're obstructing. Like that's the whole point.
It's definitely a hold, at least.
Exactly, or interference, whatever.
Yeah, but so we are 4 guys that we see the blatant calls on stuff, and not a one of us took to Twitter to talk about how the entire season the refs have been absolutely the Kings, and because that's what the Oilers fans.
No, so this is the difference between like different types of fans. Not saying that, I'll say I'm this type of fan. They're winning 3-1, right? They lost the game not because of the refs. I won't even say that they won the game or would have won the game because of the refs. They're winning 3-1, and they gave up 2 goals in a matter of what, 10 seconds or
12
something?
seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, or so they ended up winning in the shootout, right?
Yeah.
So, but point being is, whatever. Say the Kings had dropped another one in, I wouldn't even sit there blaming the refs about the whole thing. Your team is supposed to be superior to ours. Yeah, or you would think they are. They've been rebuilding for like 15 years now, so they've got like 20 first-round draft picks on their team, or at one point over the last 10 years.
Right.
Anyway, point being is, when you blame the refs for anything, it just makes you such a bitch. Unless it's like, you should be able to overcome that. I guess is what I'm saying. Like, for sure. in one game, maybe not. But over the course of a season, I refuse to believe there's some conspiracy theory against the Oilers or any other team in the league amongst the refs. It's just if there's a problem with the refs, it's refs that are not competent. It's not an agenda.
I think it's just consistent more than competent. Like they won't call something one time and then they'll call it again another time.
Sure. Speaking of the Oilers, they blew their lead over St. Louis and to send it to overtime, but they won in overtime. So
there you go. They blew another lead again. Then.
Yeah.
So a little fun fact. I don't know if you guys know this, but once upon a time, Rob and I were refs together back in the old days. So you can imagine how hard it was for us not to jump on there and complain about the lack of calls. But, we're not little whiny Canadian fans, Oiler fans, Canuck fans. So good times though, right, Rob?
Good times. I remember those days.
All right, let's get into what everybody's here for. The upcoming schedule.
I thought you were going to say Rob doing microstats.
We got Winnipeg tomorrow. We are recording Friday, so then we go Calgary, Edmonton,
Minnesota.
Chicago.
Yep. That's it.
So the first part of that is the roughest part of our schedule, right? And then we go Chicago into the.
Oh, Chicago. Well, let's go Chicago. It's back-to-back night. We go Chicago, Colorado to end the road trip.
Okay.
Yep.
So after
Fun
Colorado,
fact,
go ahead.
I will be in Colorado for that game. So look out for
Nice.
Mr. Whitebeard in the background. First time attending a game there. So speaking of which, I got to buy tickets because the prices seem to be going up quite a bit. Anyways,
I think I might go to the Kings Rams night coming up on the 21st, just to represent both my teams there.
all right.
So look for Mr. Brownbeard.
So this upcoming schedule, if we can repeat the 3 points against the Edmonton Calgary games, and hopefully it's reversed though. We get 2 points versus Edmonton. That'd be even better.
Yes.
I think that sets us up nicely to, I don't know. Winnipeg's playing well. They scare me a little bit,
But we're on the road,
but we're on the road.
so we should scare them.
Yeah, to me, it's we need to get like 5 points out of those. Like if we go 500 over that stretch, like that's gravy, and if we go a little under, that's probably fine. You start talking, only 1 or 2 points out of that, that's rough, and we might be looking at.
So 600 guaranteed. We're good to go.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean 500, and I think we're not driving the bus, but we're in the playoffs.
We're not platinum, but we're golden.
Yeah, exactly. So, but
We can't lose to Chicago our 2 remaining games that we have with them. I know that much.
yeah,
It'll be nice.
Even in a shootout, we can't get points. We got to get
We
2.
got to punish the Ducks.
Right.
And then we owe Seattle. We play them one more time as well. We cannot let that
Ever
last
happen
game
again.
against Seattle. That was just. It was the worst game of the season. It really was.
What happened against Seattle? I forgot.
The Kings didn't show up.
I'm just kidding. There was a
It
game
was
against Seattle.
There are professional hockey writers out there, many, that said they were going to win the Pacific Division.
Yeah.
And more than half had
They're the
them
worst
making the
team in-
playoffs.
They're the worst team in the league, right?
No,
No,
not in the
no,
league.
no.
They're the worst team in the Pacific, but not in the
Yeah,
league.
Pacific.
Oh, okay.
It's like Montreal, Phoenix, then them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
They're pretty
well,
close.
since you're bringing up Montreal, I just wanted to reiterate my love for Philip Deneau. The guy is just consistency.
Right.
You
Seriously,
mean
he's
number
probably-
1 center, Philip Deneau?
It
I don't
should
have
be.
favorite-
Should be. I don't know why
I
they.
don't have favorite-
Yeah.
I don't have favorite players. He's my favorite player, and it's not because he wears number 24. It just brings it every night.
Every night.
And like honestly, again, not to go Don Cherry, but I just figured he'd be like some sort of kind of like arrogant or whatever Frenchy guy.
Frenchie. Hey, don't say Frenchie. You'll get banned from HF boards.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The guy is just like
You,
salt and
you,
earth,
you sound like Sean Avery when you say that.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I was going for there, but no, I mean, I didn't know anything about him before he came here. And the guy hustles, plays like he's the exact type of hockey player that everybody should does, and then just seems like such a good dude, like on the team, and then in general.
Yo, I'm right there with you.
With or without a beard. Even when he's shaved, I'm like, oh crap, is he gonna lose his abilities? But no,
He's
he's
great. When we signed him, you saw when we were all texting each other about it all, and I hated the term and the price a bit.
Yep.
I thought it was a little too much for a little too long. And told you I love the fact that we got Kopitar help, and I love the fact that we were doing something. I was just a little too long, a little too much. But I'm right there with you. He's my favorite player, not named Kopitar Brown.
I think he's still on pace to double his most goals in a season, right?
No, he's not going to double it.
You
No.
don't think he'll hit 26? He just needs 5 more goals.
Are you sure? I thought his number one was.
It was 13.
It's 13.
He was
yeah, 'cause when
13.
hit
He has
14, it was
21 right
double.
now. He just needs 5 more goals.
Rob's probably
possible.
confusing him with points. Like he's probably not going to be just.
Oh no,
points.
just goals I'm talking about.
I was going to say what it really reminds me of is it's like if Michael Handzus came to the Kings and the Kings actually had a legit number one center then, instead of him having trying to fill that role, because he just does everything right, you know, just like it's just like a robot almost. And you know, I also kind of like because he's kind of like sloppy too, like the way he skates.
It is.
Yeah, it's just like kind of a wrecking ball, just or a tornado. Yeah,
it's funny you say that. He's so likable when you listen to him in the interviews too. I love a guy that's just, he seems truly happy to be here. Yeah. And from a fan standpoint, yes, I want guys that are happy to be here. You know,
does he remind you of, or not remind you, but is it almost like if Michael Handzus, Josef Stumpel, and Yannick Perreault all had a baby together? Would that be him?
Rodney's just speaking of people that I've liked more and more throughout the season. I don't know, Kempy's never been someone likable to me, you know, just like personality wise. But I finally broke down and listened to another podcast. I really enjoyed his interview. I meant to watch that. He's grown up. So he's matured, and I really like just listening to him talk.
Give us a Cliff Notes version. What did he say?
They were Bissonnette and Whitney were asking him what about Brown's magic tricks, and Kempe was like, I've never seen him do a magic trick. I'll have to ask him. And then they're talking about Jonathan Quick's making pizzas. And Kempe was like, I didn't know he makes pizzas.
So he doesn't know anything about his teammates?
Doesn't know anything about his teammates.
He's not in the inner circle, apparently.
Yep.
All right, Kings fans. That's our show for today. Until next time, stay classy. And go Kings, go! No go Kings, go from anybody.
Go Kings.
There it is.